right, so tequila all starts as a Blanco. It comes off a still. Actually, we got to go back a little bit before, give you a little quick brand story, and then we'll go into the tasting of the Blancos, because we always start with Blanco. Blanco is tequila at its purest form. It's the way it was meant to be consumed and enjoyed. We didn't start seeing barrel resting come into like the late 70s, early 80s, but tequila was always Blanco. And to make a Blanco tequila, you need agave, you need water, and you need fermentation and distillation.
What is agave?
Agave. Yes, agave is a plant that grows in the wild. Okay, so it has to be in a subtropic climate. You know, it needs that heat. It needs to go through a very tough dry season, rain season. It has this really unique lifestyle. And it's related to the asparagus family. That's a fun little fact. Wow. Everybody always thinks like it's a cactus or, you know, an aloe type plant. It's actually very closely related to asparagus. The entire point of an agave is to make sugar. It's a plant that its entire life cycle is built to develop sugar so it can reproduce and make more agave. So that's where the sugar source for our tequila comes into play. It's a big part of the tequila. Cazcanes is a brand that started around 2018. A guy goes down to Mexico, falls in love with tequila, says, I'm getting out of wine, I need to start making my own tequila. Keeps going back and forth, wants to start his own brand, meets some people who are like, yeah, we'll make you a tequila, you know, what do you want to call it? We'll put a sticker on it and here you go. And he's like, nah, that's not what I want. I want to actually make the tequila. So he goes back and forth a couple times, meets Jose. Jose is one of our founding owners. Jose Santillán is from a town called...
Not Corvo?
What?
Not Jose Corvo?
No, not Jose Corvo. Jose's down in Jostotipaquillo. This is kind of where our origin story starts. So the Cazcanes people were an indigenous people that lived in this region of Mexico. So they were there, they were the last indigenous people to ever be conquered by the Spanish. But if you ask them, they've never been conquered. There's still these people, the Cazcanes tribe that is there. They speak their own native language. They don't speak Spanish in this town, Jostotipaquillo. And a lot of their roots come from there. So Colin and Jose are driving around and they're like frustrated because they can't make what they want. They stop in at a taco stand. Guy overhears them and goes, oh, you want to make some tequila? You got to try my buddy's tequila, and pulls out a bottle, drops it on the table. They try it and they're like, this is the best thing we've ever tried. This is what we want to make. So how do we make this? They bring them out to the middle of nowhere. It's up in the jungle. And like they brought us there last year. We went to go on this trip. I'm like, we're driving through literally like, it's dirt roads. It's you know, barbed wire fences. You got to cross a river, go like up a hill. A little bit, but you know, like I'm with guys who they've been there multiple times. They're like, no, once you get there, trust me, like, you know, it's going to be awesome. So we arrive in Don Umberto's little backyard. He grows his own agaves. He makes his own tequila. Well, it's agave distillate. You can't call it tequila because it's not regulated. But he's been making it longer than the CRT's been calling it tequila. So who's to say what is tequila and what is not? So he's the founder. He's where we originally made our first distillate, and that is our Blanco tequila. Today we're going to be tasting the Core 7 lineup. So our number 7 lineup is always going to be, yep. Number 7 Blanco. All number 7s are going to be 40% alcohol or 80 proof. If you see the number 9, we're going to ramp it up. That is 50% alcohol, and this is 100 proof. And then we also do have a number 10 still strength Blanco. So it's uncut, you know, not proofed down at 108 proof. So it's
is that unusual for tequila to be that high?
To be tequila, it has to be sold in the U.S. market between 80 and 110 proof. So that's your proof range with tequila. If you go over that, yeah, it's in that window. Most tequilas on the market, if you go to the shelf, they're going to be 40%. The reason for that is you can pay less taxes. You get taxed on the alcohol percentage, so it's a little bit easier for brands to put stuff to market. But we launched our Blanco tequila at the number 9 proof. When it came into the U.S., when we started to make this tequila, we had it at 100 proof. and then we brought the 7 in. So, but yes.
Is 7 Blanco the best-selling one?
Actually, the number 7 Reposado is our number 1 selling SKU. Yeah, the Reposado is our number 1 seller. It goes 7 Reposado, and then 9 Blanco, 7 Blanco, and then the rest kind of fall into place. That's where I think Reposado hits the sweet spot, and I think that's the reason why it's one of our number 1 sellers. So you get the crossover. So Reposado has basically been rested in a barrel. We'll get into barrel resting in a minute, and I'll dive in on that one. But yeah, so this agave's been growing in the fields, 6 to 8 years to fully mature to make enough sugars so that we can now ferment it, cook it, ferment it, distill it down, and make tequila with it. Yeah, it takes a long time. It's a long life cycle. And so you have to constantly be planning in advance for when your next batch is going to be made. It's a very deeply connected to agriculture and farming and understanding the life cycle of the agave, when the agaves are ready, when they're fully mature. It's usually around 6 to 8 years. It's very similar to grapes. It is terroir. There's difference and variance. We use agave from the valley, which is, they call it the lowlands there, but you're still 3,000 feet above sea level, so it's pretty, I live on Long Island, so on my 0. So the agaves grown in the highlands are going to be a little sweeter, whereas the agaves grown in the valley are known for minerality and spice and complexity. This is a little welcome cocktail for you, sir. A little tequila teeny. So with our tequila, we use only 2 ingredients. It's volcanic spring water and fully mature cooked agaves. That's all that goes into this bottle. We use natural fermentation. We have our own proprietary yeast strain that lives in the distillery now. So we don't use any additional yeast. It's just natural fermentation. Because you're down in Mexico, you have fruit trees on the grounds. This yeast just kind of lives in the distillery. So you cook the agave down, you crush it, you take that juice that comes from the crushed agaves, and then you put it in a tank, open air fermentation, and the agave starts to ferment and dance around, and then
you get alcohol from
and then you take that. It's at the mix of your agave. The fermentation is usually at like 3 to 4% alcohol, so it's like kind of like drinking a kombucha, where you can actually drink that juice. It's, even though it's got bugs and stuff in it, it's a little weird. But it's kind of like the initiation when they bring you to Mexico. You're like, you have to try it. I'm like, okay. But it's funky juice. And then we run it through a still. So we use stainless steel stills with copper coils. And then that is going to distill down your tequila. And tequila coming off the still is a finished product. You don't...
When did the bugs come out?
When we dump the tanks of the juice and then it goes into the still, there's a filtration system in there. We strain out because it has some of the fibers in there. It's just kind of, believe it or not, one of the craziest distillation, I don't know if I should say this, things I've ever seen was wild turkey. Back in the day, they used to have birds would fall into their... Yeah, anyway, so it does get distilled down, and then it comes off the still and it's clear. So tequila is a finished product. The saying in tequila is the maturation happens in the fields. So because that agave grew for 6 to 8 years, we have a sweet finished product right off the still. We don't need anything else, so we'll let it rest for a little bit. We'll put it in a stainless steel tank. For about 30 days, we oxygenate it a little bit to kind of just let everything kind of like when you make tomato sauce, want everything to kind of come together and homogenize in the tank, and then we bottle it up, and then it gets shipped out as a finished product, ready to go. And then this is where barrel aging starts to come in. So now you have Reposado. Reposado tequila has been aged in a barrel, or as we like to say, rested in a barrel. We do small batch blending, so every time we make a batch of tequila, we hand select cherry pick barrels that are going in. A batch is maybe 10 to 12 barrels, sometimes up to 20. And we pick barrels that speak to Colin, who's our master blender. And he basically has an idea of what he wants that flavor profile to taste like. So sometimes you have barrels that are maybe only 3 months old, sometimes 6 months, sometimes 8 months. Can go all the way up to 1 year and still be called the Reposado. So we will blend basically, off of those barrels. The barrels, we pull samples out. We're like, this one's good, that one's better. Use that one, maybe add a little bit of this, blend it in. We are a true small batch tequila product. A lot of people like to use that term, like former wrestlers who small batch product, but it's one of the most produced tequilas. I don't know how, there's no regulating term on what is a small batch, but so that's one of the things is like we like to claim and speak about is it is true artisanal tequila, it's small batch product. Every batch that we do is on the bottle. You'll see these little codes here. It's all handwritten by batch. So we have R724 batch 04. So this is our 4th batch that we did in the year 2024. And that's where you'll see on the front of the bottles.
So you have to handwrite that?
Yeah, they handwrite, every label gets handwritten. Our master distiller, Don Chico, he signs the bottle on the front. And that's it, and this is one of the things of the logo. The logo is the sacred healing hand. It's known for the Cazcanes tribe. It was one of their sigils. And for us as a brand, it also represents the hand touch that goes into the tequila making process that we use. We like to honor how many people have touched that from the field all the way to right here today. So hand labeled bottles, hand signed, hand stickered. The rope gets tied on by hand. Just follow me on Instagram, watch some videos, you'll get the quick rundown. But yeah, it is. The point was made before. It sounds a lot like wine, and it's true. There's terroir that exists in agave, where it's grown, how it's grown, elevation, climate, soil. That all affects the flavor of the tequila before we even get to touch it. So then once you take that agave, you harvest a field, you then cook that low and slow in a nice steam oven, and you develop all this rich sugar, and then you get this like candy cooked agave. Yes, yeah. So it grows in basically volcanic soil in Mexico. To be tequila, it can only come from, there's 5 states of tequila, 5 states of Mexico that you can only make tequila and call it tequila there. We are made in Jalisco. Jalisco makes about 95% of the tequila that's on the market. That's pretty much everything comes from Jalisco. And same thing like mezcal. Mezcal is, most of it comes from Oaxaca. So it's like, nice. Awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. There's not enough time to talk about like all of the things that the steps along the way, but like the humidors it's a job that is like, I got to chop an agave plant, and I'm like, it took me like half an hour to take one down, and this guy did it in like literally like, we timed it, it was 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and he could take a full agave plant that's about this tall, this wide, spiky, sharp leaves that are on the outside. He uses this thing called a koa. It's like a big giant, I call it the death shovel, but it's like a spade. Trims the plant out and then pulls it right out of the ground, splits it in half, and throw it on the truck. It's an incredible process to watch. The native people of Mexico were making spirits before distillation and copper stills came over from Europe. So they were making it before it was ever, a lot of the Spaniards like to claim that, we were the ones who taught them how to make it. But meanwhile, if you go to Oaxaca, they're making stills out of tree stumps, and they have, clay pots and all these different types of things. So, there's spirits like pulque that have been around for hundreds of years, and pulque is basically like a beer, but then you take it one step further, and you take that fermentation, you distill it down, and you get clear. Yep. Yeah. It's awesome. It's like, and you can really like dive into the world of agave and learn so much, and then just when you think you know something, like you learn something new again. So it's pretty cool. So dive into the Reposado. The Reposado is we use American oak bourbon barrels to age our tequila in. And we use a mix of barrels anywhere from Jack Daniel's, Heaven Hill, Four Roses. Those are typically the ones that we kind of cherry pick. Barrels will be reused. So with bourbon, you can only use a barrel once. We take those barrels after they've been used, bring them down to Mexico, throw tequila in there. We'll take a couple batches, run them through the barrels. Barrels get reused a lot in Mexico. The reason why for that is because you have this beautiful wood oak container that is doing a really good job at it, but like with bourbon, you can only use it once. So Mexico, they're just like, we're not going to waste this resource. We have this, let's use it. So typically, it depends on the barrel. It depends on the char level of the barrel. A lot of the barrels that we get when we first get them are like char level 4, which is like a heavy char barrel. So those barrels you can get maybe 5 or 6 batches out of before you're going to start to like lose all the flavor and the color. We don't go that far with them. We go about 2 or 3 batches, and then we have a guy who's a barrel smith down there, and he basically will take the barrels, rechar them. We char barrels at different levels. We mix kind of, so we might have some stuff that was level 3 char, some stuff that's level 4, kind of mix and match, and it's all gives us variance. And then we have like what I like to call is a palette of barrels and different tequila samples that when we blend our batches, we now can pull from. All right, we want it a little more oaky, so let's pull off a level 4 char that's been only used once, so we're gonna have a deep, rich color, and then we'll blend that into the batch, see how it tastes. So like, we maybe want a little more sweeter, so we'll pull something that's a lighter char level, blend that in, and then that's where the true art comes out of tequila. So Reposado is anywhere from 2 months up to 1 year, and we kind of mix. They say on average our stuff is about 7 to like 10 months is kind of like the majority of the barrels that we pull for our Reposado.
That's what makes a Reposado
Yep.
in a barrel?
Yeah, it's rested in a barrel.
Not in a barrel.
Blanco was not in a barrel. Yep. Yeah, Blanco, not to confuse you, but it can go in a barrel, but we don't. if as long as it's like under 2 months, you can still do a barrel rested Blanco, which is something some brands are starting to play around with.
That's what you start with, the Blanco.
Yeah, it comes off the still. Yep, comes off the still. Blanco's finished product. We'll barrel it up. Barrel goes down in the cave. We have a big cava where we have barrels stacked about 20, 30 feet high. They're all stacked on each other. We don't really have like floors. It's not like a Kentucky rick house. It's literally a cave underground. It's damp. It's kind of cool, but it's still in Mexico, so the temperature swings are gonna kind of heat it up, and so stuff off the top of the rick, the rack will age a little bit faster than the bottom level will. And then we go into our next expression, which is, you like the Añejo? All right. So the Añejo tequila literally just means aged. Añejo is aged. So over a year, all the way up to 3 years is typically what you'll see for Añejo tequila. Ours, like same thing with our Reposado, we small batch blend it together. Most of our barrels that we blend for the Cazcanes Añejo, 20 months, 24 months, so just around that 2-year mark. Extra Añejo is a term that exists. It is coming back in the summer. We're bringing over Extra Añejo that has been aged for a minimum of 3 years. So if you're a whiskey fan, Extra Añejo is coming back. It's awesome. Deeper, richer. The first batch of the Extra Añejo that's going to hit the market has some old stock in it too. So we have some barrels that were like 6, 7 years old that are getting blended into it. Because we moved distilleries. We used to be at our distillery in Mexico. They go by NAM number. So if you look on the back of the bottle, you'll see NAM 1614. So this tells you where tequila was made. So if you look it up and you want to learn about who else makes tequila here, there are a couple other brands, but a NAM is a 4-digit check number, so you could see where this tequila was made. So if you find one that you really like and you want to learn some other brands, some places like it's sometimes on the front, sometimes on the back, but it's a little 4-digit number. So
Do all tequilas have that?
yes, it has to have a certified NAM to be called tequila. So basically that tells you where this tequila was made, who made it, and then from there you can learn about who the distiller is, the processes, and all that kind of stuff.
If you looked up by the nom number, you're allowed to say that they have it free now.
No. If you go on Tequila Matchmaker, the way they've kind of like worked around that for now is they have like a trusted brand partner is like a little badge for tequila brands that have been trusted with Tequila Matchmaker. It's like,
They can't say it, but
the gymnastics, it's exhausting to kind of get into that. But yeah, our Añejo, it's a whiskey drinker's type of spirit. It's going to have Añejo. So we do American oak in this in our core lineup. I did bring 2 special bottles here because I always like to bring a little something special. This is a project that we did. It's called our Rosa. So instead of taking American oak, Colin, who's been working on his wine project in Napa for years, he's got some barrels floating around. He takes a French oak Cabernet Sauvignon cask from Napa, brings it down to Mexico. We throw some tequila in it, see what happens. And then last year they released the Rosa.
puts agave in it.
No, it puts tequila in it.
Oh, it puts tequila in it?
Yeah, Blanco tequila goes in that barrel. So we actually have a Rosa Blanco. The Rosa Blanco was in there for 31 days. So French oak in a red wine cask. It's a Blanco tequila, but it has color, and it picked up a little bit of the
Tequila plus what?
in a red wine cask. So you get the coloring.
Number 9 is what that's on.
And the number 9, so 100 proof. So we're going to ramp it up a little bit. The brand hasn't had much presence in the space other than basically Colin. He hired his brother-in-law, JP. JP is our CEO now. And basically for the last couple of years, they've just been boots on the ground, traveling around, tequila in their backpack, trying to get it into as many markets as possible. So now,
We have to go to Mexico a lot.
So now we have a team behind the brand. I just came on 2 months ago officially as thank you. Official position is global brand ambassador. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Get to travel around and talk to people about tequila. That one's for you.
Thank you.
Whoa!
You know your customer.
All right, so this is going to be our Rosa Blanco, and you'll see it's got a little just tint of color here.
Hey, you're good.
And you can keep the little plastic glass if you want. They're plastic, but
Grandma have to tell me to go.
I figure Cinco de Mayo is coming up, so you got a little shot glass for the.
Supposed to be signing for the furniture right now. Okay. Oh my gosh. That is a different color.
That's a good question.
I can pour more if you want, but I know I don't want to overdo it.
Been dying to taste it now.
So yeah, I'll join you guys with this one too. So salud. Well, the one I like to say it's like the informal version. Salucita. Salucita.
That's good. I like it. I approve.
So high proof, spicy, complex.
Spicy, yeah.
The oak in here, the French oak, has a totally different flavor profile than American oak to me. It's zippy, zesty. My wife calls this spicy wine. She's like, she's like, can we have some spicy wine? Yeah. So one fun thing to do with this is instead of doing an Aperol spritz or do a tequila spritz. So yeah. No, I'm saying instead of doing Aperol, you take a little of this, you throw some champagne and some club soda, and you got a nice little. Yeah. Tequila spritz is going to be a thing. So tequila teenies and tequila spritzes, I'm pushing that this summer. Follow me on Instagram. I'll show you. All right, and then this one. So now the same tequila, we just left it in the barrel a little bit longer. We did 4 months in the
4 months.
Cabernet Sauvignon cask. I'll swap you out here. So now we're going to get a little bit more cask on this one. Deeper color on this. And that's because it came from a new barrel. So it had red wine in there. And then you're going to get that pigmentation that comes through.
So this is the Reposado that I didn't like in the other one, but I might.
You might like it with this one. I tell people all the time, I'm
I
like,
love the nature.
yeah, that's a good one.
It's so smooth.
Well, that's the thing with tequila, right? Is there's no wrong answers. It's what you like, right? Because I might like just to drink Blanco tequilas, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to like an Añejo or a Reposado. There's a stigma with tequila. People like to imagine that it gets you drunker. I think that's probably goes back to watching Three Amigos back in the day. Yeah.
So this is,
The Rosso Reposado.
okay, so this is the one.
Yeah. So this is it, but aged in French oak and the same wine.
Blanco recipe.
Yeah, it was a
Blanco.
Rosa Blanco. Yep. I'll let you check out the bottle if you want. The Rosa Reposado. So.
I don't drink anything straight. The number 10 is only a Blanco.
Yes.
Is Cazcanes ever going to make a Reposado or Añejo with number 10? Wait.
I've been screaming at them for 2 years to do it. And I was like, please give me a number 10. I want it. So Cazcanes does a lot of single barrels. That's something I'm working on with them is getting a.
Hey, speak it to the camera. So that
Yes, louder into the camera. Did you hear that? I did not tell them to make a number 10 Reposado or Añejo. 108 proof cask strength. I've tried samples of it. So they do have right now, they kept stuff in the barrel a little bit longer. So there is a Rosa Añejo, but they're not really sure if they're going to release it mass or if they just might do a limited drop or something like that. I know. I was like, come on, guys. But I got to try it. It's a 110 proof. It's insane. Yeah, I was like, yes. Well, they always ask, they're like, what do you hear in the field? I'm like, I'm telling you what I'm hearing in the field. I was like, people want high proof age-stated stuff, especially bourbon drinkers, you know? This is, 50% ABV. And this is the red wine Reposado. So we left it in the barrel a little bit longer. And then the question was asked, we actually did do some Añejo as well. So it's been in the barrel for 3 years now.
Can I have a little more of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're like, they pulled it out like right as it was about to hit 3. So it's like 28 months.
But definitely, is it
Do they make any flavored tequila, like honey tequila?
No, that's that is technically heresy. The way we do it is our tequila is made to be. It's done. It's ready. Absolutely. You can take a bottle of this and you can infuse it with whatever you want. I just did it at home. I roasted up some poblano peppers and I did a poblano infused tequila. It's delicious. 24 hours, not much at all. Yeah, just char them up, kind of get them like nice and cooked, a little smoky flavor on them, and then just throw it in the bottle. Take a poblano pepper, throw it in there. It's great because then you make a margarita with that, and you got like a spicy marg, and it's a naturally infused flavor. So. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. I'm glad you guys like
He was
it.
never into tequila before tonight, so yes, it is.
We hear that a lot. We hear a lot of people. I do a lot of events and I do tastings and conventions and stuff. And I'll be standing there and people are like, "Oh, what is this?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Cazcanes tequila." And they go, "Oh, I don't drink tequila. I can't drink tequila." And I just go, "Tell me your story."
25 years ago doesn't count.
Exactly. Again, everybody starts the same way. They go, "When I was in college, I drank a whole bottle of Jose Cuervo and I died." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "So did everybody else." Good tequila it's awesome. You don't have to, I think this kind of ties into your thing with like people like to like, why do I get more drunk? I think tequila is vibrant. It's fun. It's a spirit that is unconquered. It's just kind of like doing its thing. So usually if you think about it, like when are you having tequila drinks? It's summertime, it's outdoors, you're having a party, Cinco de Mayo, like, you have these moments where it's always like a celebration, it's a celebratory drink. It's not come home from work and just slug down a glass of bourbon because I've done it. but it's a different type of drinking experience, I think. Tequila is a very social drink, and I feel like when you're drinking socially, you're always having a good mood. You're kind of in a better mood. So you feel maybe a little bit more free and liberated. And the salt and the lime. But yeah, I think it's an amazing spirit. And what I love about it is there's so much, like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to start diving in and going down the rabbit hole and reading up more and learning more about it, there's so much more to tequila. And then you could start to get into other agave spirits like Raicilla, Bacanora, Mezcal. There's all these different agave spirits from Mexico. It's I order it online. It's Old Town Tequila. Mezcal that they take, they put corn in the still, so they call it an elote. It's a style of tequila where they infuse like stuff in the still. It's called a pechuga. So they'll take that and they cut. You're driving, right? Yeah.
We walk.
More of your cocktail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
The first
A little cocktail.
light, refreshing.
Yeah. Get a little more ice. Uber always can get you home safe too. So
We're gonna walk.
yeah, nice, beautiful night. So I guess if you live close enough,
We're about 20 minutes away. We're gonna walk. We
Nice.
walk here. We're walking back.
beautiful.
Is it good to cook with?
You can. I like to use it. I put the Blanco in, like if I make ceviche or aguachiles, like the nice. Yeah. Yeah, you could cook with it. I mean, you could do anything with it, to be completely honest. Yeah. A little añejo in your coffee. It's a nice one. Reposado, you make espresso martinis, but espresso martini, but get it with Reposado tequila in there. And it's in Mexico and Spain, it's a drink, the Carajillo. It's liquor 43 and espresso, equal parts. But then I always add like an ounce of tequila in there, nice Reposado tequila. Yeah, 43. So that espresso and our Reposado. So 2 ounces espresso, an ounce of the liquor 43 or 43, and then the Reposado. Shake it up. Beats any espresso martini you'll ever have.
Make espresso martini.
Yep. And Mr. Black is good too. I love that.
Is that what you like with Mr. Black?
Yeah.
That's how I've been making it.
That's good stuff. It's a good liqueur.
Does Costco Kirkland make tequila?
They do. It changes. They do batches of it, so like depends on who makes it. It's not good tequila. It's okay enough to if you're gonna make a margarita with it, but like yeah.
They say their vodka is Grey Goose, actually. They probably buy up
That is true.
excess batches.
The Kirkland house brand, they'll buy up like and then relabel it. Yeah, the tequila is not good. Like they have a bourbon, and they source from Barton. Like it's you get a bottled and bond Kirkland, and it's from Barton. It's a 7-year bottled and bond.
Because they make too much, right?
Right. Yeah.
Instead of dumping it, they
Right. That's one of the things.
In New York, you have to get it like in Georgia.
Yeah.
The Kirkland.
Yeah, the Kirkland signature brand is like only in states where you can actually sell it in their store. Yeah. Connecticut, yeah.
Yeah, so he said it's the same as Grey Goose.
Yeah. These are spicy tamarindo candies, so it's a little like as you're headed home and just pop one of these. Yeah. They're hard candies. Don't chew them. You can eventually break them down, but they got a little chili spice to them. But yeah, I always like to bring a little extra stuff, so makes it memorable. This way, you leave and you're like, that brand. Like it's all about. This is for us. Like this is the biggest part of what we're doing is community outreach, stuff like this, where we can kind of have a really cool little intimate setting, sit down with people. I do private tequila tastings.
Where do we do a survey?
I guess since go on our Cazcanes Instagram right now and just leave a comment there and say Wayne's the best. But I do also private in-home tastings and stuff like that. So if you ever wanted to do like a special night,
Just serve tequila though.
you can. Well, we could do multiples. We could bring tequila, mezcal. We could do agave. We could. What was that? I like to keep them kind of like this, like around 15 people. I feel like once you get more than that, it gets a little rowdy. You know.
I can imagine.
Yes. You know, and certain people like they drink a little too much. Yeah. But in your house, I'll come to you. You know, we do private tastings and stuff like that. You know, and we could do the Cazcanes lineup, or we could do a mix and match of like I have some private stock stuff that I like to bring in, and this way you can try some different tequilas. And we could do the same thing like we did here tonight. We could do the whole lineup. We could just do the sevens. Yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that would be booked either way through me, and then we'll put it on the calendar. And then, you know, if you have corporate events or country clubs or stuff like that, we do all that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
My apartment does this sort of stuff.
Cool.
Oh, I guess
Yeah, I
you
got.
just grab
And
them
still, this guy didn't show
Okay,
up.
there.
The phrase we like is liquid to lips. So our tequila, we feel stands out pretty well, especially when you side by side it with other stuff. But it's a brand it's still growing. It's not there yet. It doesn't have the brand recognition that some other huge ones do. So the whole thing is doing stuff like this, letting people try our tequila, and then once you try it, I feel like that kind of does, you know, it's it. You know, and then you're going to compare that to other stuff, and you're going to go, oh, all right, well, this was you know, this was better, or hopefully you remember this event and you go, Cazcanes is really, you know. I used to be a chef, so I used to do private dinners out in the Hamptons, and so I was like, if I could do that, why not do that, but with tequila? You know what? I just realized this. The reason why that's sitting like that is because this.
There you go.
The tops are specific for the bottles. Yeah, so it's they're not hand blown, but they're hand cast. So there are like, and when we put the corks in it, it kind of molds to that. So they kind of like they fit perfectly. Yeah, or a pina like the Fortaleza ones. But yeah, this it's a pretty cool brand. It's got, you know, a lot of the symbols behind the tequila. It all ties into the name and where it comes from.
He doesn't want it. Don't ask me what.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay for it.
All right. And yeah, if you ever get a chance and you did want to go down to Mexico, you can tour our distillery. It's in Amatitan, Mexico, and they do tours. You can go on the website. There's a thing to like book a tour.
The end of May.
Yeah.
To Mexico.
Okay. Yeah. Doing the tequila tour. Okay.
Yeah, we just time off.
We have 2 weeks off, and we're going to see. We have 2 weeks off in a row, so we're going to see if we can go different.
Okay, you get a lot done. If you ever want to do the trip to Mexico, I say you need maybe about 5 days. 5 days, you got 2 weeks, you have more than enough time. But basically the trip is you fly from New York and you go to the flight pattern I like is connect in Houston, and then Houston to Guadalajara. There's no directs to Guadalajara. So avoid Atlanta like the plague, avoid Dallas like the plague. Houston's a really small airport. Like it's big, but it's a lot more manageable than doing the connection in Dallas or Mexico City. If you connect in Mexico City, it's chaos. It's just, but yeah, to go down to Mexico, like I said, in Jalisco, that's where 95% of tequila is made. You fly into Guadalajara. Guadalajara city's like, it's like becoming modernized. You stay right in Guadalajara, and then from there, the town of Tequila, it's actually a town called Tequila. It's about 45 minutes outside. Was that? Bus, there's a lot of distilleries will offer private car service. And then there's hotels. If you wanted to, what I tell people is to go to Cazcanes. It's the El Tequileño distillery. They have their own hotel there. It's beautiful, brand new. You could stay there. You're in Tequila Town. And so from there, you can hit El Tequileño, Arete. Cazcanes, Salles. It's on the El Tequila distillery. So you could do their tour, and then it's all walking distance, the whole town of Tequila. So you could just kind of hang around in the town, and you could hit Fortalezas there, you could hit Arete. You got to make sure you book a trip in advance. Fortaleza doesn't let anybody in unless you have a reservation. The old Orandine family is there. There's like, a lot of the original tequila brands, they still have their distilleries there. And they're all right there. And in Tequila Town, there's a cantina bar, El Beso. It's phenomenal. There's a couple like really awesome spots. Just shoot me an email. I'll give you a list. I literally have this. I have it. El Beso. Yep. A little kiss. But yeah, it's a really small. It's a cool bar. It's very small, similar like this, where you can sit there and you can try some incredible tequilas. And then La Capilla is the other one. That's where the Batanga came about. That's a little cantina right in the town of Tequila.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, brother. Enjoy.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, the trip's awesome. And then from there, outside of there, it's like an hour up to Arandas. In Arandas, you can hit G4, Ocho, Tapatio. They're all like very close. Yeah. Viva Mexico, now 1414, they're up there as well. So it's really cool. It's shoot me an email. We got it down to a science. It's like after going 8 times in a year, I got it pretty figured out. And like I feel like you do 2 distilleries a day. Like do 2 distilleries a day, 2 distilleries a day, and then leave yourself like a day to just kind of hang out and enjoy. Yeah. Try not to do more than 2 in a day, because like the thing is like once you've seen how tequila is made, that's why I always tell people like the Fortaleza distillery is a must see, because they crush everything with the Tahona there. It's super, super, super small distillery. Like their production room is literally the size of this like bar. It's insane. But you get to see like how tequila was traditionally made at Fortaleza, and then El Tequileno, they have like a mix of modern and traditional. So it's a really cool distillery to check out. But that is all in the town of Tequila. You could just stay there and see everything. So yeah, and then in Guadalajara, there's I think 5 of the top 50 bars in the world are in Guadalajara. So it's yeah.
Convinced us.
Shoot me an email and I'll.
Summer vacation there next year.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But yeah.
I want to get some tequila, so do we bring this to the front?
I think so. I don't really know exactly how that works.
Bring a bottle to me.
Yeah, bring a bottle up to the front and yeah.
And we're going to try your recipe.
Cheers. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been awesome. You have the card if you need anything or if you want to connect or whatever. Absolutely. Cool. Yeah, or trip advice, trip planning, and all that kind of stuff. Awesome. Well, tell your friends, and then hopefully we'll do more of these. So, cheers. All right, thank you guys.